From a studio high above the clouds of the Okanagan Valley, this is the Cannabis Podcast. Exploring the world of Canadian cannabis culture, one toke at a time. Now, here's your host and budtender, Gary Johnston.
Hey, it's the perfect time to welcome you back to the Cannabis Podcast. Or maybe I'm welcoming you for the very first time. Could be. In either case, I'm equally happy to have you as a listener of the show. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes or so talking about a plant I'm absolutely passionate about and have been for many, many years, and that is cannabis. Now, before we get too much further, let me remind you, this podcast is intended for those of legal consumption age in your jurisdiction, and is intended purely for entertainment and perhaps educational purposes. You should always consume your cannabis responsibly. In this episode, we are up to episode 226. Can't believe we're that high. In this episode, we're going to look at the job description for the best budtenders and some research to help you find the right weed for you. And we talk about the mega packs, 10 individual gummies of 10 milligrams each, and have they really made a difference? We stop on Cultivar Corner, brought to you by Up and Smoke. We try one of the bigger packs, Biggies XXL Berry Blaze live resin gummies. And they're supposed to be fast-acting. We'll see if they are. All of that and more on episode 226 of the Cannabis Podcast. And let me start by saying thanks for being a listener of the Cannabis Podcast. I am so impressed that you come by each time. Even if you've only been here once, I'm still impressed. I'm also going to be honest here. Now, we've talked about the fact that I had a stroke back in March, and we had some cognitive issues, had some speech issues, and some other things that I think are working pretty well. But I have to be honest and say there are times when I'm recording for this podcast and I end up doing something 3 or 4 times, and I think I might have let 1 or 2 of those edits slip by without realizing that. A fellow podcaster, Margaret from Bite Me Podcast, told me that she heard a couple of things that she wasn't thinking. She didn't think were supposed to be there. So it could be that I have slipped a little bit. I've also changed methodology. I've moved to a new technology. So actually, I'm getting rid of Adobe. I've been spending way too much money for Adobe every month. So I have moved to Reaper, and that's what I've been using for all of my production now. And it's a little bit different, but I think it allows me to get to where I need to be. But I think I might have let the occasional thing slip by. So I apologize to you if you've had a couple of moments when you've been listening to this podcast in the last few episodes or so, and you thought, oh, that's kind of weird. Give me a little patience. I'm getting a little bit better each and every week. So thank you for being here. I'm so appreciative of that. And let me also let you know that if you want to comment, you can send a note to info@cannabispodcast.com. If you want to help out support, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/cannabispodcast. And if you like what you hear and you feel so inclined, you can buy me a doobie. But now let's get to some stories. All right, we haven't dealt with this issue probably as much as we think we have. I have been approached by a YouTube viewer, I guess is how I would refer to it, Fudge Cake Minister. I'm not going to ask for any explanation, but he has been reluctant. First of all, thank you. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for contacting me, and I'm glad you're listening to the podcast. And thank you for the opportunity to answer your questions. So the whole issue is he wants to know what happens with edibles now that there are 100 milligram packs allowed by Health Canada. Well, I'm going to tell you, from my perspective, it hasn't changed very much, because although I can buy 100 milligrams in a package, it's not going to affect me more than they used to. At least I think that's going to be. Perhaps fast-acting may have some validity. Let's start at the beginning. Health Canada has officially changed the game. In response to industry pressure and customer demand, cannabis regulations allow co-packing of up to 100 milligrams of THC in a single edible product package. That means more potent edibles are finally here. Why did Health Canada change the 100 milligram edible rule? Well, until recently, legal cannabis edibles in Canada were restricted to 10 milligrams of THC per package, a limitation that pushed many consumers toward the illicit market where 100 milligram edibles have always been the norm. The change allows licensed producers to legally package 10 individually wrapped 10 milligram THC edibles into one larger child-resistant co-pack that still meets all Health Canada labeling requirements. It's a big win for customers who can now get more value and potency in one convenient legal package. I'm going to add an aside to that when I'm finished this. Legal retailers who can better compete with unregulated sources, and producers who can innovate with multi-format, strain-specific, and full-spectrum gummy packs. Now, these updates are part of a broader shift by Health Canada to modernize cannabis packaging and labeling regulations. Recent updates include also allowing different colored caps and containers, permitting cutout windows and transparent packaging for dried cannabis and seeds, allowing co-packing across various product types, including edibles, extracts, and topicals, accepting certain universal symbols like recycling logos on wrappers. With these regulatory barriers removed, brands can now deliver more thoughtful, potent, and appealing edible experiences while still remaining compliant. The liver is the magic ingredient, and if we haven't talked about that, that's why. When you're dealing with edibles that go through the digestive tract, they are transformed by the liver for some enzymes that they throw in for good measure, and that THC, which is delta-9 THC when we smoke it, turns into 11-hydroxy-THC, 6 times more potent and way more unpredictable. And for some people, that enzyme transformation doesn't occur. And I'm one of those people. So, here's what we have. I've done some research. I went to my favorite store, Spirit Leaf, of course, where I used to work. I helped them get started. Still enjoy going in there, seeing everybody. Lots of the people that I hired are still there. Nice to see. Let me give a quick shout-out to Mariah, Angela, Jericho, and Tarek. Some of my favorite people. So I went looking for edibles in big packs. Now, we've talked about edibles before. I do not think most of the edibles that are available are going to have any impact on my liver because it's just like I just ate something. It never transforms the THC in most of the gummies I have. So I have 3 packs. One pack is a 5-pack, 10 milligrams each. They're packaged in a 5-pack, which is really just 5 envelopes of the original 10 milligram. And those are fully blasted sours from spinach. Blue raspberry watermelon is one of my additions. We'll tap off to the side. The next one is, we're going to actually stay on this side. So now we're talking about the 100 milligram packs. 10 milligrams per piece, and there's 10 pieces in the package. And we have one of those from Woody Nelson, which are mega purple gummies, gastropop cured resin. Now, the cured resin may help to act as fast-acting, I'm hoping. They are 10 milligrams per, and there are 10 gummies in the pack. So that's the second pack I have. And then we have Biggies XXL Berry Blaze live rosin. This is the only package I have that says rapid onset, and I'm hoping that they are rapid onset. This is probably going to be the first one we will sample. There's maybe a couple of Cultivar Corners involved with this, but we'll deal with that. So those are the 3 packs that I have to sample. And to further follow up your comments from Fudge Cake Minister, edibles really don't do much. So when I commented about it's no big deal now that we have these packages, that really only matters if you have to have 100 milligrams and you have to eat all 10. Because that hasn't really changed. If you require dosages of that regard, this isn't going to be much of a deal for you. You're just going to have to eat 10 of sweet gummies and probably feel no effect. That's the way I feel. Maybe I'll be surprised by the Woody Nelson because they are live rosin. And then on the Biggies, the live resin is going to be fast, rapid onset. I'm so excited to try that. So that's where we are with the edibles perspective. I wanted to clear it up, let you know what is out there in terms of 100 milligram packs. I have sourced them. There's not a whole lot out there, but if you do some searching, you can find a number of different options for you. And if those edibles work for you at those dosages, good for you. I hope it works. So stay tuned. We'll be doing a Cultivar Corner on one of these products later this episode.
From the cannabis-infused studio in the clouds, this is the Cannabis Podcast.
And we're picking this story up from stratcan.com. It's all about what you want if you're going to be a budtender. What do retailers look for when hiring a budtender? In cannabis retail, the budtender is often the most important employee in the room. They're the ones greeting customers, recommending products, and shaping the overall experience that determines whether someone comes back or walks across the street to a competitor. For many retailers, hiring the right budtender can make or break their business. But what exactly do retailers look for when hiring this frontline role? While cannabis knowledge is important, industry leaders say it's only part of the picture. Integrity, empathy, adaptability, and passion all play vital roles in determining who thrives in today's cannabis retail landscape. Cannabis retail is no longer the novelty it once was. Customers today range from seasoned enthusiasts to nervous first-timers, and budtenders must meet them all with equal professionalism. For Ashton Faulkner, regional manager at Plant Life Cannabis, the best hires understand that their role extends far beyond transactions. For me, when I hire a budtender, I'm not just looking for someone who can ring up flower and smile at customers. I'm hiring for the front line of our brand. So what do I look for? 3 things: authentic cannabis fluency, emotional intelligence, and a hustle mindset. Faulkner explains that true cannabis fluency isn't about memorizing menus. It's about understanding the plant, the products, and more importantly, the people. A great budtender knows how to translate terpenes, how to guide someone through the interaction and create a best-in-class experience, and how to stay current as the industry evolves. Equally important is emotional intelligence. You can teach someone about cannabinoids, SOPs, and policies, but you can't teach them to care. The best budtenders know how to read the room, meet people where they're at, and make every interaction feel personal. Whether it's a nervous first-timer or a seasoned connoisseur, they know how to build trust in 30 seconds flat. And finally, Faulkner emphasizes work ethic. Retail is fast-paced, and we know cannabis retail is even more so. The ones who thrive are adaptable, proactive, and always looking for ways to improve. He added some examples, including upselling with integrity, keeping the vibe positive, and staying sharp on compliance. I try not to hire for just knowledge, and I look to hire for energy, empathy, and the drive to do better every day. Not every retailer has the same priorities. Timothy Hugh, Director of Business Development at Baker & Blazer, says his company's learned a hard lesson about trust in hiring. Key traits are honesty, trustworthiness, and good personality. We can teach the weed knowledge, but integrity and personality can't be coached. Hui's team recently experienced theft from a senior employee, an incident that reshaped their approach to hiring. We recently got robbed by a senior member of our team, so trust is more important than anything else now. There's a lot of money and drugs around, a lot of temptation. The result is much more cautious recruitment strategy. Now Timothy only hires people he has known for a while, friends of friends, and people he has strong connections with. It's a reminder that while product knowledge and customer service skills are important, the foundation of any hire in cannabis retail is integrity. Hui adds that personality also plays a role in creating positive customer interactions. Both male and female customers prefer to have pretty faces looking after them, he says, acknowledging that physical presentation can influence hiring decisions in ways not often spoken about publicly. For Vikram Saktiva, CEO of Seed & Stone, the role of a budtender extends even further to embody brand values, build community relationships, and challenge stigma. At Seed & Stone, we believe our budtenders play a crucial role in shaping the customer experience and representing our brand within the cannabis retail industry, Saktiva says. Seed & Stone operates exclusively in British Columbia, and its hiring priorities reflect both business goals and community partnerships. Saktiva highlights several key qualities: positive attitude and willingness to learn. Budtenders must be adaptable in a fast-changing environment. Training is provided, but the right mindset ensures long-term success. Retailer sales experience. While not mandatory, this background equips candidates to handle cash, POS systems, and upselling in ways that support store performance. Passion for cannabis. Sativa sees enthusiasm as essential. Passionate budtenders stay informed about regulations and product trends, and their excitement creates a welcoming atmosphere. Respect for First Nations partnerships. Seed and Stone works closely with First Nations communities, and employees are trained to approach these partnerships with respect and cultural awareness. Customer service and interpersonal skills. Sativa stresses that budtenders are often the first point of contact for customers who may still feel stigma. A judgment-free educational approach helps normalize cannabis use and builds loyalty. By providing accurate information and creating a welcoming, judgment-free experience, budtenders play a key role in breaking the stigma surrounding cannabis, Sativa said. Across Canada, retailers agree on one thing. A budtender isn't just a salesperson. They are educators, compliance stewards, and the human face of an industry still fighting for normalization. The qualities retailers emphasize, empathy, integrity, enthusiasm, and adaptability, reflect the unique challenges of cannabis retail, where regulations are strict, customer bases are diverse, and stigma persists. In a crowded and competitive market, retailers know the customer experience is the ultimate differentiator, and as the first and most frequent point of contact, budtenders are central to creating that experience. Hiring the right people doesn't just keep the business compliant and profitable. It shapes how the public perceives cannabis as a whole. And that story from Stratcan.com, that's some good information if you're considering becoming a budtender. You should probably study up the test.
THC, CBD, terpene profiles, what's in me? Oh, please explain to me. Cultivar Corner, Cultivar Corner, oh yeah. Cultivar Corner, please explain this stuff to me.
Welcome to Cultivar Corner, brought to you by Up in Smoke at 258 West Broadway in Vancouver, and online at itsupandsmoke.com. Remember, if you are 19 years of age or older and you live in BC, you can have something sent to you through mail order, or if you live in Vancouver, you have until 2 p.m. every day to get your order in, and they can hit you up with an e-scooter delivery. Fantastic. Matt and Sarah doing an excellent job on deliveries, both delivery of mail order and in the city. Today, this is based on a discussion that I have been asked to do, and that is in relation to edibles in the 100 milligram per package range. It came from a YouTube listener who suggested that I do one of these, and I put it off for a couple of weeks, and I forgot to do it, and he noticed that I had not done it yet. I'm not doing the 100 milligram package. I'm not doing the 50 milligram package. I'm doing the one right in the middle. And this is Biggies Berry Blaze Live Resin. Now here's the catch. Rapid onset. These are supposed to be rapid onset, which means that, well, some will go through your liver, and the THC will be transformed into 11-hydroxy. Much of what you get from the THC will be available through your stomach lining, so it doesn't have to go through full digestion. That's the idea of fast onset. Now, here's the part that I find absolutely humorous. So I do have a package of 6, one each 10-gram gummies. And there are 6 individual packages in this big container. I just get such a chuckle out of this. So now I have to open up each of these little containers, figure out how they open. Now, there we go. I found my way to my first one. So, this is Gary. We're talking about some THC infusion into my edibles. This is live resin, Berry Blaze. It's from Biggies XXL at 10 milligrams, so let's get started. I suspect... So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and just eat them all. So I'm going to do all 6, so let's get the first one started. Oh, those are really good. Easy to chew. really easy to chew. And just like that, I've had my first edible. And we'll see. So I start my clock, get my stopwatch on, so I know how long it's been since we have ingested. And we'll keep our eye on the clock as the day progresses. And we'll pick out another one. Let's get number 2. There it is. Get the top open. And there it is. And so Berry Blaze is the flavor. These are just so good. Now, you probably don't want to listen to me digest. It's not the most polite thing to do when you're actually recording. And at 1 minute and 45 seconds, we have consumed the first 3 in the package. There is 6 in the Biggies pack. I don't know why they settled on doing 6 in there instead of the 10 that Woody Nelson has in their package, or why they didn't stop at 50 like Sours did with their package. I guess everybody has to be a little unique, and that's what we're going with Biggies. So, there's a lot of sugar. Let's be serious. So there's like 24 grams in this whole container. Out of 6 gummies, that's going to be, what, 6 grams per? Yeah, I think so. So if we're going to do that, let's get rid of number 6. And it's in my mouth. Now, as a consumer, look at the amount of plastic waste I have on my table from those 6 gummies. That's insane. Why could they not have packaged them more individually and just put them in the pack? Why do they all have to have the same labeling? And that's one of the things I feel is just wrong of the way that the industry is working right now. So, I have been with 5 minutes and 32 seconds. We're going to start the clock, and we'll check back in probably in about 15 or 20 minutes just to get a checkpoint, because it's supposed to be fast acting, and we'll see what happens by the time we get there. It is time for our standard check-in. This is now at 24 minutes past ingestion, and not surprising to me, I'm not feeling anything. I wish it were the case, and so I will hang on to this for a while, and we'll carry on doing some stuff that I have to do, and we'll see if it comes up after maybe 30 minutes. Maybe we'll probably check in again at 45. In all honesty, I think I am wasting an awful lot of money trying edibles. I don't think I'm going to try it anymore. I'm 45 minutes or 44 minutes into my experience with the Biggies, which we started off with all that waste. God, there was so much of that plastic stuff. It's been into my system for 45 minutes now. Yeah, there we are at 44. I can't say that I'm feeling much. So therefore, this is like, that was $22 to the Biggies for 6 of those. I put $10 for my Sours for 50 milligrams of that. My Woody Nelson, I hate to think what that is going to be. I got to stop spending money on cannabis that isn't going to get me high. We visited Cultivar Corner from the edibles perspective earlier this year, of course, when I had my stroke, and we made all of those changes, and we did nothing but gummies, and then we found very soon that the gummies didn't ever amount to anything for me. I'm sure that for some of you, they really helped, but they sure didn't for me. Here we are. We're now at 46 minutes. We're going to stop. We'll check back in after an hour, and we'll see if I feel any higher, because right now, I don't think so. It has been 3 hours and 36 minutes since I consumed the cannabis that were Biggies, Berry Blaze, live resin. Did 6 of them, ate them in about 4 minutes, and have been waiting ever since. No surprise to me, I'm afraid. I was truly hoping that this rapid onset meant something, that I would feel something different, but I'm afraid I didn't feel any different with it. It's really, really disappointing. But let me remind you that Cultivar Corner is brought to you by Up and Smoke at 258 West Broadway in Vancouver and online at itsupandsmoke.com. You can pick up your gummies if you're 19 years of age or older and have them sent to you if you live in BC. If you order by 2 p.m. and you live in Vancouver, they can make a delivery by e-scooter to you that day. Okay, so it wasn't terribly productive. It was kind of what I thought about. I'm not sure we're going to try any. Well, I guess I will do the others just because I need to validate it. So we'll probably do the Woody Nelson Mega Purple Gummies. That is a live resin or a cured resin. And we're going to eat all 10. And I'm betting that I'm not going to feel a thing. Sometimes when you do Cultivar Corner, it doesn't turn out the way you hoped.
Sharing stories about good weed while trying good weed. This is the Cannabis Podcast.
We're picking this story up from the Kenigma.com, and this is how to find the right strain for you, if that's even possible. Cannabis strains and how to choose between them can be likened to the different kinds of apples. Granny Smith, Ambrosia, Gala, Pink Lady, etc. Same plant, but different varieties. But unlike most fruits and vegetables, marijuana can affect your mind, and different varieties often produce different types of intoxication or highs. And as science has shown in recent years, they also have distinct therapeutic properties. This short guide was compiled by analyzing and interpreting the scientific literature available, though largely preclinical, with the goal of helping you narrow down the options and find the right strain for you. In years gone by, there were only a few cannabis varieties around the world, often referred to as landrace strains. Much like the grapes of Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc were crossbred to produce the famous Cabernet Sauvignon, cannabis varieties can be bred to create new varieties. However, 100 years of prohibition paved the way for a flourishing underground market. So unlike Cabernet Sauvignon, there's no trademark nor standards to define strawberry cough or Granddaddy Purple, or any other strain for that matter. Anyone can name their marijuana strain whatever they want, and no one can really raise a legitimate objection. There's even a 2020 study that suggests strain names don't mean much. Another example of how prohibition influenced cannabis history is limited access to knowledge about the plant. For instance, misconception about and popularity of the term strains in order to describe different varieties. A strain is a term used in microbiology and has no official ranking in botany. The proper way to distinguish between cannabis varieties is actually by their chemical composition, which is why the term chemovar, chemical variation, is becoming increasingly popular. Cannabis chemovars can be divided into three main types. Type 1, which is THC dominant and low in CBD. Type 2, balanced, roughly 1-to-1 ratio of THC and CBD. And type 3, CBD dominant and low in THC. Now what's better, indica, sativa, or hybrid? The misconception about sativa and indica is yet another result of the lack of cannabis research and education during Prohibition. Most people, even within the cannabis industry, tend to believe that sativas are more uplifting and energizing, while indicas are sedating and calming. Recreational consumers and patients alike often wonder what would be best for them, indica, sativa, or hybrid. In fact, there are botanical terms used to define morphological differences such as plant shape and height rather than effects, which cannabinoids and terpenes are present in a chemovar and in what concentration, is the best predictor of its potential effects, not its indica or sativa origins. Cannabinoids and terpenes are the most abundant compounds in cannabis. They're also the most talked about, and you're more than likely to encounter them during your next dispensary visit. Knowing more about these molecules can help you find the right product for you. THC and CBD are the two major cannabinoids in cannabis. THC is often regarded as dangerous, and CBD as therapeutic, but actually they both play a leading role in the therapeutic potential of chemovars as well as the high they produce. THC is the main intoxicating chemical in cannabis, and it also has therapeutic applications for conditions and symptoms such as pain, nausea, stress, spasticity, and sleep disorders. Type 1 chemovars can be divided to 3 categories according to their THC concentration. Low, medium, with THC less than or equal to 10%, medium or high from THC 10 to 20%, and high THC more than 20%. CBD is known mainly for its seemingly endless list of medicinal properties, potentially aiding in conditions such as inflammation, anxiety, epilepsy, and autism spectrum disorder. Lesser known is the exact nature of CBD's interaction with THC. Most research suggests that CBD may be able to mitigate some side effects caused by THC, like anxiety or attention impairment. Urban legend claims that taking CBD can make you feel less stoned, but most studies have found that combining THC and CBD is no less intoxicating than the same dose of THC alone. Other research suggests that this interaction could be dose-dependent. So, for example, in an 8-to-1 CBD to THC ratio, CBD can reduce the high from THC, but in a 1-to-8 ratio, it actually potentiates the high. Why are terpenes important? Terpenes are another important type of bioactive molecule found in cannabis. Similar to cannabinoids, some research suggests that they can influence your high, also help to achieve the desired therapeutic effect. Unlike cannabinoids, though, they can be found in many other plants. You might not realize it, but you've probably already consumed all of the main terpenes in cannabis. The citrusy aroma of lemons, grapefruits, and oranges, for example, is thanks to limonene, one of the most common terpenes in cannabis. It's believed to produce an energized high and could potentially help treat conditions such as anxiety, pain, depression, arthritis, and MS. Beta-caryophyllene is another common terpene in cannabis that is also found in herbs and spices like black pepper, cinnamon, and rosemary. The mysterious synergy in marijuana. The entourage effect theory suggests that cannabinoids and terpenes may work synergistically to potentiate some effects. For example, both THC and myrcene are muscle relaxants. Limonene and BCP show potential for inflammatory conditions such as ulcerative colitis, and linalool and pinene for anxiety. This information can help you narrow down the possibilities of cannabis products when looking for the right one. Keep in mind that other factors such as your metabolism, unique genetics, age and gender, and also consumption method can also play a role in whether or not marijuana will help you. Furthermore, the majority of scientific data about these compounds is based on preliminary research, which means the evidence isn't very strong yet and should be taken with a pinch of salt. Now a step-by-step guide to finding the right strain for you. 1. Gauging your tolerance. No tricks here. You'll have to try weed at least once. If smoking or vaping, preferably a type 2 or 3 chemovar, take a puff and wait for 10 to 15 minutes to see how you react to a specific amount of THC. For example, 1 puff of a 10% THC product. If that 1 puff doesn't do the trick, try 2 puffs on your next attempt. Remember that if you're consuming orally instead of inhaling, you should wait significantly longer, at least 3 hours, before taking your next dose to ensure you don't overdo it. 2. Define your desired effects. You may be looking for cannabis strains for different reasons. Some are looking for a good night's sleep, others for pain relief or treating seizures, while some just want to enjoy an evening joint on the couch. One thing that could help you identify the best chemovar for you is defining the effects you're looking for so that you can look for related chemovars. And 3. Look for relevant chemovars. Since the scientific literature on cannabinoids and terpenes is preliminary and limited, the best use of this information is to learn about the ones that are more likely to produce your desired effect and narrow down the possibilities. For example, when looking for an energizing chemovar, Something high in terpinolene and limonene is more likely to be energizing compared to others according to the existing scientific literature, but that doesn't mean it will definitely be. Keep in mind that if getting high isn't a priority, types 2 and 3 are often preferred in order to better dose and potentially avoid some of THC's side effects. Consider your preferred aroma and flavors as number 4. Terpenes are what determine the aromas and flavors of cannabis, and the most common in cannabis are myrcene, herbal, caryophyllene, spicy, pinene, woody, limonene, citrusy, linalool, floral, humulene, earthy, terpinolene, floral, and ocimene, floral. If you're allowed, ask the budtender if you can smell the cannabis. As a rule of thumb, if it smells good to you, it will likely feel good when you consume it. And number 5, consider some trial error. After you choose the type of cannabis and the most appealing terpenes, look for strains with similar profiles. For example, if you're a first-timer looking to treat symptoms of Crohn's disease on a workday, a type 3 variety that's high in limonene and preferably low in myrcene, BCP, and linalool would be a good bet. For nighttime, you could try a type 3 product which is high in BCP or linalool and with little or no limonene. Whereas, if you know you have a high tolerance and you're looking for pain relief, type 2, high in limonene, would be your best bet for activity hours, and type 2 high in myrcene, BCP, and linalool or humulene for nighttime. It's all about trial and error. The cannabis industry is extremely young, but it's rapidly developing. Advances in technology and regulation will mean that products with designated effects will be available in the near future. In the meantime, your best bet is to follow the science, ask around, and practice, and potentially even enjoy some trial and error. And that's some good advice from thekenigma.com. We've accomplished it. We've accomplished another episode of the Cannabis Podcast. It's almost done. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Remember, if you want to comment on anything you hear, please send a note to info@cannabispodcast.com. And of course, I wouldn't feel good if we finished off without doing my absolutely worst puns. I'm just having so much fun with these cards. Here comes the first one. What do you call a parade of bunnies hopping backwards? A receding hairline. Why does a duck have a tail? To hide his butt quack. These are so much fun. How do you make an egg roll? You push it. I ordered a chicken and an egg online. I'll let you know. The answer is whichever comes first. I get it now. I'm still having fun. I hope you've had a good time. That's it from the guy in the clouds for episode 226 of the Cannabis Podcast.
From the cannabis-infused studio, high above the Okanagan Valley, this was the Cannabis Podcast.